Well, here we are. Paul Chapman joined with Ed Willis in our own separate abodes, experiencing the social distancing and the actual, well, we're bound to work from home. Our company made that decision. So this is how we are going to go from now on. So, Ed, how are you coping with all this?
Yeah, not bad. Again, it's everything's graded against a curve, and I know in my circumstances, I've got absolutely nothing to complain about. We're on the North Shore, though it's been beautiful weather all week. We go out for walks. That's really our life right now. And we burned through the first season of Succession, and it's just started season 2. So that's where we are. If you got any recommendations, we have to pick up another series, maybe one that's got about 400 episodes.
Well, it certainly feels that way. I mean, for both of us working in sports for a long time, whenever stuff like this seems to happen, you know, we always say things like sports are a good distraction from your everyday troubles. Now, this has obviously usurped that, given us a ton of perspective as well. But man, it would sure be nice at times like these to have some games. I understand why they cannot go ahead, but that is a distraction that I think people will need once this starts to come back, that sense of normalcy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was interesting because I wrote a column today about the Olympic rowers in Victoria. And two of them, Conlon McCabe and Will Crothers, I mean, they're veterans. They're Will's 32, Conlon's 29. They've both been to 2 Olympics. This would be their third. You know, they signed up for one last shot, and all of a sudden, you know, everything's so up in the air. But what I thought, this is kind of juxtaposed against Thomas Bach, the IOC president, gave an interview to the New York Times and kind of like tried to play it against the middle, right? We're not going to say it's canceled. Obviously, we're looking at different scenarios. But the thought I had was, and I think this is why people are so focused on it, they want a sign that somewhere down the line things are going to get back to normal, that they're going to be able to get back to the games, get back to the television. And that's why I think, you know, the Olympics is 4 months down the road. The opening ceremonies are at the end of July. And I think if people can see that and say, yeah, the Olympics, that we're coming back to normal, I think that would be a great encouragement to most people. I don't know if it's realistic, but I think they're kind of holding out hope that they can, put the show on for them.
It's kind of funny because, yes, I could see, like, if the Canucks got back playing or the Whitecaps started locally, that would certainly give people something to work with. I'm not sure if inviting people from every country on to come together at the Olympics would be the wisest way, even 4 months away, Ed. Like, you honestly go ahead.
No, you're 100% right, and that's why I think the best case scenario is some kind of postponement and maybe October. Maybe. I just it was funny. I mean, I just got off the phone with Dr. Doug Clement, who's also one of the has organized the Jerome track meet for years and years. So interesting person to talk to because he's got a foot in the athletes, coaches world, and then another foot in the medical world, as a medical person. And he doesn't want to hear about rushed timelines. He doesn't want to hear about anybody except doing anything except the strictest forms of social distancing, and even at that, this thing is still in its early days, and as he said, it's coming at us like a freight train. So you try and not be alarmist, but you have to be realistic, and this thing is only pointing one way for me.
Well, I think it's pointing the same way for me as well. When it does come back, and we know this will be gradual, hopefully if people do the right thing, there won't be like flare-ups and new spikes. And hopefully there's not too much financial hardship out there, because that's the separate part of this story. But when it does come back, do you think sports will change? Do you think people will be more into it? Or do you think they will be quite happy to just let things go? Like, back to, like it won't seem as important.
A really interesting question, because this is the defining moment of our generation, right? For my parents, it was the Depression and World War II. I can't think of anything that remotely compares to what we're going through now, and what we will be going through for, even your most optimistic guess, at least 2 or 3 more months. So I think it's going to cause people to reassess, maybe cause, it's just so entrenched in our culture, in our society, this, need for distraction, the need to entertain. And sports, as I've always said, is the best reality television going. I don't see that changing a lot. But I do see people sort of, reassessing and, having a deeper think about, the importance of this stuff in our lives.
We've been joined by Patrick Johnson, I see.
Good evening, afternoon, whatever it is.
Yeah. And Ed, you just coughed into your hand, your elbow, right? The technique.
Yes, I didn't get the full elbow in, but I'm kind of in my writer's hovel here, so nobody comes in. So yeah.
Wash your hands.
Wipe down your keyboard there, Ed.
We were talking about the scope of sports, and covering the Canucks. You see the fervor, you see what a distraction is for people with the normal things that drag them down. How do you think this is going to be when it comes back?
I mean, I think people are already ready for it to come back. I mean, I find it fascinating when I discovered The Economist is writing about how much we all need sports. I think it's 100%. I think, as I was just hearing Ed talk about, is that it's that sort of spirit of the moment type thing. People want this. I mean, this is a huge, what's going on in real life more than ever, we need a distraction from. And of course, we don't have anything right now. I think, the day we're able to watch something, anything, I think people, you'll hear people across the street, through the walls. It'll be a big deal.
Have you had, I know that the players are sort of squirreled away at this point. Mm-hmm. And everyone's in a wait and see thing. But, what have the Canucks sort of indicated to you when you've talked to them? I know you've reached out to the NHL, did an interview with Bill Daly, you also did an interview with the Players Association head, Don Fair. What's the sense from a sporting point of view? Can they even focus on what the task at hand will be when they get back?
I think, certainly in the few conversations you had before they flew away from us in Arizona last week, I think it was that sense of unknown. There was that real kind of desire to stay in shape. These guys want to play. It's what they do. It's what they know. It's their job. So you can really only imagine what they're going through right now. Certainly we see, them on social media sort of projecting the right behavior. And we, Elias Pettersson with the great series of videos of him pretending to learn how to chip into a glass and that sort of thing. But, I do think this is going to be it's a huge challenge. I mean, they know certainly going away, they're not with their team. They're not in their routines. They're going to lose their fitness. They know that. And that's why the discussion really has been about coming back as a training camp, trying to model things as if it is early September again. It's got to be a strange existence for them. I mean, you don't really know, but you know that they're trying to be with their families, and that's about it.
Yeah. Ed, I know being the veteran you are, we've dealt with player strikes, and you remember the lack of physical conditioning that some players, Bryant Reeves comes to mind, when they come back from this. I mean, certainly hockey went through that as well. Do you think there's any danger of the players now? I mean, you can't do anything. Everything is closed.
Well, again, it's kind of great. Like the curve is so strict now. Like the conditioning level of players today versus where they were 20 years ago is night and day. So, compared to the very first players strike, which is the very first work stoppage, which is the 91-92 season, they're in vastly superior condition. But for the demands of today's game, I wonder about that. I wonder about, and it's also been interrupted. Their normal routine and rhythm has been interrupted. And, training it's cyclical through the year. There's kind of, there's the off season training, and then there's the training during training camp, training during about the halfway part of the season. And then it changes again toward the latter part of the season where it's more about maintaining and getting rest and all those things. So that's been interrupted. And I kind of fear for, talk about epidemics, an epidemic of groin pulls when the players do get back, because we're probably looking at a 4, 5, 6 game, 6-day training camp if they start. And I am highly skeptical that they'll even be able to do that. But that's another story for another time.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be one massive asterisk on any sports championship once they get back. So, guys, I think we'll leave it there. I want to let people know that we're going to endeavor to do these for you a couple times a week to try and give you some distraction, something to watch, some sports discussion. You can reach out to us through all our normal channels if you have suggestions or things you'd like us to answer. So thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Cheers.